High School School Committee meeting for Wednesday, December 9th, 2020. Per Governor Baker's order, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30A, Section 20, the public will not be allowed to physically access this school committee meeting. This meeting will be conducted remotely via Zoom technology. For instructions to follow this meeting live, see the notice of meeting on whittiertech.org. I'm going to do a roll call first. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Wood, Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. LaBella,
Yes.
Mr. Tucker, Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Here.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Ms. True,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
I'm sorry, what are we voting on? Or
Attendance.
attendance, I can handle that. Here. Sorry, I just joined.
Okay, Mr. Lesage. All right, moving on. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag
Flag.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you. Public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to voice public comment? We do have 11 letters from relatives of the Whittier hockey team. And I will read the first letter that we received. The other 10 and this one will go into the file for record. It's addressed Chairman Murphy, Superintendent Lynch, Principal Laganis, and members of the Whittier School Committee. I am writing in regards to the upcoming winter sports season at Whittier Tech. I understand the winter sports season may be in jeopardy of being canceled due to the COVID-19 virus. I urge the school committee members, superintendent, and principal to please consider allowing a winter sports season. These kids have lost so much this year, and it would be terrible if they lost winter sports, and it would be extremely disappointing. My son Connor is a senior in the carpentry shop and the current captain for the Amesbury Whittier hockey team. Connor has worked very hard over the past 3 years to maintain a high GPA and has been a 3-year starter and one of the top players on the team and in the league. Understanding that the students' health and safety are most important items to be concerned during the pandemic, they still deserve to participate in sports with their teammates and friends. Studies have shown that playing sports does not present a higher risk of contracting the COVID-19 virus. A study was conducted by the University of Wisconsin finding were that high school sports did not cause a large increase in COVID-19 cases. Over the course of 2 months, 30,000 athletes participated in the study, and 271 of them contracted the virus, but only one of them got it due to playing the sport. With the protocols and rules put in place by the CDC, USA Hockey, MIAA, and the governor's office, student athletes are required to wear masks and adhere to social distancing protocols, such as not sharing water bottles, limiting the amount of players and coaches on the benches, and maintaining space from each other on the ice during practices, which will be reinforced by coaches. I feel that having sports provides a safer environment for the students than they are allowed to be out of school with no structure from school or sports and allowed to roam free and do not adhere to the CDC and school COVID-19 social distancing requirements. Even with the recent uptick in COVID-19 cases at Whittier, Per the weekly school communications, none of the positive cases have been related to in-school contact. As we all know, sports are much more than just students participating in athletics. Sports builds character, teaches teamwork, teaches how to deal with adversity and success. If the winter sports season is canceled, this will not only end the season for Whittier hockey players, but could also end the season for Amesbury too, because they may not be able to provide enough players for a varsity team. These student athletes, not just the hockey players, but all of the Whittier athletes deserve to participate in their sports, especially the seniors. These young adults have lost so much so far. Let's let them have something to remember their final school year. I ask you all to please strongly consider to allow these students to play sports. All other schools in our area are being allowed to play winter sports, and I believe all of the schools in the Cape Ann League and Commonwealth Conference are also playing. It would really be a shame if Whittier was the only school that isn't participating. I look forward to hearing the outcome of your decision, hopefully a positive one for the students, and I am available to speak with you if you would like to discuss further. Regards, Brian Montejunas. The other 10 letters we have very, very similar. They all pretty much come to the same point. So we will file these letters for the record. I believe there's no other public comment. Moving on. Approval of minutes. Need a motion for the November 12th minutes of the regular school committee meeting.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Wood, Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. LaBella,
Yes.
Mr. Tucker, Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. True,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
and that's it. Moving on to the next approval of minutes, November 12th minutes of the executive session.
So
Do we have a
moved.
motion?
Second.
Any discussion, questions? Roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. LaBella,
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. True,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Okay. Treasurer's report. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, questions?
Looks good.
Okay. Roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. LaBella,
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. True,
Yes.
and Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Okay, old business. There is no old business posted. Reports and communications. Alyssa.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, and all other school committee members. Clubs at Whittier have begun since our last meeting. Chess Club is back up and running. They meet every Monday afternoon for 1 hour. They are using a remote learning site where they have a private team. Students are learning chess tactics and playing in speed matches as well as tournaments. The Multicultural Club has been meeting remotely once a week every Thursday afternoon. They're averaging between 6 to 9 people at the weekly Google Meets so far. One of their upcoming events is a virtual Secret Santa, where students will be randomly paired with one another and offer gifts of either an international music playlist, a piece of virtual artwork, a Google slideshow of encouraging words and images, or a list of suggestions that are easy to do and sure to make a person feel better. Skills USA had their first meeting on December 8th at 2 p.m. They discussed general orientation to the Skills USA organization, leadership positions for the executive board for this year, opportunities for community service, and what the Skills USA year will look like in light of the restrictions due to COVID-19. Interact Club is in the process of getting blank greeting cards distributed to the students so they can fill them out. They will drop off the cards to local assisted living facilities within the district before the holidays. This activity has been opened up to other clubs as well. DECA is competing virtually at their district competition. Students will test next week and have to have their videos for their role plays done by January 9th. From there, they will learn if any students will advance to states, which will also be held virtually. Peer leaders met each other on Google Meet, played Get to Know You games, and participated in a public speaking workshop on December 7th. Also, along with the Interact Club, peer leaders will be writing greeting cards to local assisted living facilities. Student government has had 2 virtual meetings so far, with nearly 20 students from all grades participating. The senior class now has a full board of hardworking, creative officers to lead the class and school this year. At this time, we are excited to be planning some Whittier Pride Spirit Days before the holiday break to continue to build community here at the school. Students will be encouraged to wear their maroon and gold vest and submit photos for a We Are Whittier video that we hope to distribute through social media after the break. Students are also working on ideas to celebrate the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. in January. Whittier has also reopened in-person learning this week after remote learning for 2 weeks. As a student, I am excited to be back in class where I learned best. I will continue to provide updates on our student life as the school year progresses. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Alyssa?
Great job, Alyssa.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. It's nice to have good news.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Superintendent's report.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For informational purposes for you tonight, I have personnel action for an articulation agreement coordinator, 3 resignations, a budget update. We're meeting with department heads and the administration to finalize department submissions to build the FY22 budget. Can you believe it's actually happening again? The Mcas for junior students has been postponed. That information came out earlier this week.
Wow.
No new information is known at this time. Grade 10 students will take the English and Math MCAS exam in May 2021. And grade 9 students will take a paper MCAS in June 2021. The
Wow.
class of 2021 is 100% MCAS pass, so we do not need to worry about our graduating seniors. On Friday, November 13th, I attended the remote MAVA Board of Education public comment meeting. There continues to be concerns the amount of seats available for vocational education and not being able to meet that level of interest. On Thursday, November 19th, I attended the remote MAVA Superintendent's CTE Directors meeting with the Commissioner. On Tuesday, December 1st, I attended the remote Mass Hire Merrimack Valley Workforce Board meeting. On Friday, December 4th, I attended the remote MAVA officers meeting. On Tuesday, December 8th, I attended the Merrimack Valley Superintendents Association roundtable. Today, I attended the remote Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce board meeting, and the commissioner had an emergency meeting with us today at 2 o'clock. And we anticipate some changes moving forward with learning plans. And he also wanted to review the vaccine that looks like teachers will be a phase 2 part of vaccination. On Friday, November 20th, because of a rise in COVID cases in our community, we moved to remote learning until December 8th. We're thrilled to have our students back in the building over the last couple of days. I'm telling you, we missed them terribly. I think all the teachers being in the building, it really isn't the same without the kids. We have developed a dashboard on our website that will be updated daily with positive COVID cases, number of students in quarantine, and whether there was any school transmission. I'm going to ask Mr. Williams to show you the dashboard so that you can see what we're doing. So
Hi,
it's on our
everyone.
website.
So if you land on our landing page, the
Yeah.
big link right here, COVID-19 information, it's going to bring you to a page that really we've consolidated all of our pieces of information around this subject, reopening guides, food resources, and right in the middle, there's a live updating Google Sheet that will be updated daily. Ms. Lowell does that update along with the nurses. So our community can see what's happening with Whittier as we go forward.
So as you can see, there's been a little bit of an uptick as far as, especially for students needing to be quarantined or staff needing to be quarantined.
Yeah.
And that generally is for 10 or so days of missing instruction.
Oof.
That's rough.
So the good news is we have not found evidence of school spread. So while we're here, Mr. Williams, can you show the school committee where they can go to for our foundation?
Of course. At any page, you can look up to the top and you can go to the foundation link, or if you do land on the main homepage, it's again, all those links are right here. If you go to the foundation homepage, you'll see that Whittier Annual Season of Giving Holiday Fund Campaign page is the main page. And from there, you can feel free to donate to the Whittier Tech Holiday Fund.
Thank you, Kevin. Every year we're just blown away by the generosity of our community. We have many students that are in need. This year, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do the level of shopping that we usually do, but we will be providing students with gift cards and Whittier wear for this holiday season. So if you're interested in giving, you're just a click away on our website. As you know, we're in the midst of a second surge of COVID-19. Thank you, Kevin. The research shows that there is limited transmission in school and therefore it is safe to have our students in the building. Having students in our building participating in our vocational training programs has to be and continues to be our priority. We need to continue to limit our interactions with others and continue to stay in our cohorts. Our students are broken out through their vocational technical area and then into their academic area. Our students stay in one classroom. Our teachers move to students to limit interactions with others so that we can stay here in the building. At this point, our students are still being dismissed at 12:40 so that they eat lunch at home, again, trying to limit the not having to wear a mask and eat lunch at the same time so that we're, again, limiting transmission here in the building. Right now, we have 5 cities and towns that are coded red. We have 4 cities and towns that are yellow, 1 green, and 1 gray out of our 11 cities and towns. So there's definitely been an uptick in this area. As a school district, we understand the importance of
Thank you.
extracurricular activities and athletics is to our students. Based on the information we have today, we have many concerns about moving forward with competitive varsity athletics. Our number 1 goal continues and has to be the priority of getting our students into our building full-time, especially for their vocational technical programming. We're hopeful that after the second quarter, we'll be able to bring our students back for more in-person vocational time and be able to have a spring athletic season. We do feel like there is light at the end of this, what has been a very dark tunnel. And that is all I have for you tonight.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Charlie.
You mentioned that the teachers for the vaccine will be in phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be voluntary?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I don't know. We were just told today that teachers would be phase 2 of the vaccination program, but I don't know if it will be mandatory for staff or for students. I know right now the flu shot is mandatory for students. So, I don't know. That's the simple answer.
Well, that's good. I
I'll
got
find out.
one more quick one.
Mhm.
Do we have, or do you know if there's the amount of transfers or people applying for January?
I don't. We wouldn't generally get the full amount until after the second quarter grades are complete.
Oh, okay.
So they would start probably 2 or 3 weeks into the third quarter.
All righty. Thank you.
Superintendent, I have a quick question. I noticed that the district is now associated with Pentucket Medical. And that if the teachers or staff need a test, they can check with the nurse. Does anything apply to school committee? Were we allowed to take advantage of that also?
I would have to check with the school nurses. I'm not aware of that. I can tell you right now, everyone is backed up with COVID testing. So what used to be a 24-hour period moved out to days as far as COVID testing. But certainly I can check with the nurses and get back to you, Mr. Irving.
Thank you.
David, just as point of interest, do you know that CVS is doing it
Um,
in Ipswich?
Yeah, I know that there's so much coming out every day, but a lot of it's not even here yet. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure where we stand. I'm just thinking that on occasion, you might need a clearance to travel out of state, to take a plane, or to do whatever you need to do.
Yep.
And you can't always go to the doctor's office to get permission or a slip to go to. I have a procedure next week, and I have to go to Lawrence Saturday to have a COVID test.
Oh, God.
Set up by the doctor's office, but in some cases it might not. And we're sort of associated, or we're very much associated with your district. And I
Yeah.
would assume that we would be involved in as far as similar to staff might be. Obviously, teachers and students are another level.
In regard to the community testing, as Gary said, CVS in Ipswich, but also CVS in Lafayette Square. And all you do is go online and they'll tell you what's available for appointments, and you can just make an appointment online and go in. So
Right.
those are the two places that are considered our local areas,
Yeah.
Ipswich and Haverhill, Lafayette Square, CVS, both of those.
There's also one in Newburyport at Convenient MD, right up by, you know where Demoulas is?
Yeah.
Right outside their parking lot. There's a clinic there. They're
Wow.
testing every day. You just walk in.
Oh, walk in. That's even better.
Yeah. Well,
Do
you
you know
gotta
how
get
much
in
it
line.
is?
You gotta get in line now, because, but it moves pretty fast.
Yeah.
Brett, do you know what the cost is?
No cost.
No, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think it all goes through insurance or something, but I had to have it done, and they were very good there.
Where
Oh,
is it?
good.
You know what Market Basket is in Newburyport,
Yeah.
or Shaw's?
Yeah.
It's right on it's right on Story Avenue. It's called Convenient MD. It's right next door to
It's new.
Wendy.
It's a new building, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
That's
good
to
information.
know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
it still takes, I mean, it used to be 48 hours. Now it's,
3, I think.
three days.
Wow.
Anyway,
So you don't have to call, you just walk over?
yeah, just walk over.
Mhm.
I think there
But
were
it-
over 5,000 cases today, positive cases in Massachusetts.
God.
86 deaths.
All right. Maureen, do you want to go on with the donations?
Sure. I respectfully request the school committee to approve the donations listed with the business manager's memo. As you can see, the value of donations over $101,000
God.
in donations. A brand new Silverado pickup truck is now in our auto tech department, and that was donated by General Motors. I really can't say enough things. Fairview Machine in Topsfield, an unbelievable donation. Richard Nazel of Haverhill, a new car, or an older car donation, and then Marie Nooner of Newton, New Hampshire, a donation of machinist tools. So we're very lucky to have so many supporters in our community providing us with donations. So
Move the section of donation.
Second,
Roll call vote. Mr. Early,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. LaMello,
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Yes.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Absolutely.
Mr. Fitzgerald. Give us a thumbs up.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, on mute.
Mrs. True,
Oh, yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Definitely.
Okay. Anything else, Maureen?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Laganis, you're up.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Chair, Superintendent Lynch, and the school committee members. As you've heard, our Whittier community continues to move forward. We pivoted back to our hybrid learning model on Monday this week. I just want to thank everybody for that flexibility. And I think, Alyssa, you just said it perfectly. Back in class where we learn best. So thank you for saying that. As we move back to our hybrid schedule, we must continue to remind the students and the staff to stay 6 feet apart at all times, including masks, and strictly follow all protocols. We are committed, as you can see, to the safety and security. And again, all of us here and in school and in the community, we all should be proud in how we responded to these challenges before us, and how we will continue to respond. Like Ms. Lynch said, this dark tunnel, there is light in this tunnel. That being said, the entire teaching staff did an amazing job on setting up videos for our first virtual parent night that was launched on Thursday, December 3rd at 6 p.m. The link for parents and guardians to view the videos, they were sent via email to each one of the parents. In the videos, teachers discuss schedules, routines, class syllabuses, expectations, the usage of PowerSchool, and an email address to set up individual meetings. You can imagine quite different our teachers were making videos of themselves, and I congratulate them. Also, Kevin Welch, our cafeteria manager, has set up a remote Mondays pickup sites for breakfast and lunch every Monday in November, which started this past Monday. So that's, which was 12/7, and then 12/14, 12/21, and 12/28 from 10 a.m. to noontime at the Poets in entrance. Families can come and grab meals, which are provided for the 7 days for our families in need. So we thank Kevin for doing that amazing job, and his staff, and Kara and Superintendent Lynch for putting that all together. Also, you heard from Melissa about our virtual clubs. They've started, and even though they look differently, they're all virtual, but the attendance has been pretty good. Kids are signing up. These clubs, as we said, are very important to the students' social emotional connections, and so far so good. So we look forward to hearing about that. As you've heard, with the winter sports, there are no definite decisions in any of this. As very, very heartbreaking, to know that the winter sports are not going to happen. I've talked to, other principals. We meet every Friday, the vocational principals, and there's really no complete consensus of any winter sports, whether they are going to play or not. And other, principals, they're saying that, each school system has their own dynamic. That being said, our focus has always been on the student and student athlete. And right now we have to focus on bringing back our kids in-person learning, and especially our vocational education. That's our most important thing with all this winter, especially, with the climate and what's going on with this virus. Vocationally, definitely, we need these kids in person. And like I said, the way we learn, so that's our focus on student, always with student athlete, but student first. That's what we're doing. That being said, we had a very successful Wildcat conditioning program. So we're exploring, because we know, students and children, we all need activity in some way or form physically. We're looking into possible intramurals, possible, club activities that we can do within our school cohorts. We all know that, Kevin Bradley and also Mr. Little, they ran a Wildcat conditioning club this fall. And it was amazing for the kids, to have that positive energy and also that physical energy. So we are exploring that for this winter to keep those kids within our cohorts, to keep them on campus, and to give them that activity. So I just want to say for myself, please stay safe, everyone, and healthy, and have a great holiday to all.
Thanks. Any questions for Principal Laganis? All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Business Manager, Kara.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Lynch, and members of the committee. As you know, when we did the FY21 budget, we had no idea that we would have a pandemic and that the way we deliver instruction would change materially this year. So I have a budget transfer request for you. And I had mentioned it a couple of months ago. There were significant salary changes because of the elimination of some subjects and moving and shifting teachers around to other places. So the transfer request in your packet will balance the salary account appropriations so that they reflect the current deployment of the staff. It will also adjust for teacher contractual salary lane changes that happen up and through October 1st. And also it will align with any increases, that were approved by the school committee after the FY21 budget was finalized. So I ask your affirmative approval of this budget transfer.
Motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Roll call vote. Mr. Early. Hello.
Here he is.
There he was. I will get back to Mr. Early. Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. LaBella,
Yes.
Mr. Irving,
Aye.
Dr. Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Ms. True,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mr. Early.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope everyone stays safe and has a wonderful holiday season.
As well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kara.
Hey,
Thanks.
KK. So is the athletic completed?
As far as you know, I think that, as I said, I think they just have to re-hook up the irrigation system. I'm not sure if they were going to do that this fall or if they were going to wait. I think they're going to do that in the spring because the irrigation system isn't being used right now. So basically, for all intents and purposes, it is done.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Moving on, committee chairperson, January annual agenda items, policy updates, variance analysis, and a budget review. Subcommittee reports, executive, we have not met. And it looks like we do have a meeting coming up on January 13th at 5:30. Instructional personnel, Dr. Testaverde.
We haven't met, and I think we talked about it, that we were going to put it off until we had more up to date on what's going on with in-person learning.
Okay. Plant operations, they have not met. I don't know if there's a need for a meeting there. No.
Not at this time.
Okay. Salary negotiations, Mr. Early.
We're all set at this time.
Okay. And policy, Mr. Irving.
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure if the superintendent needs us to meet before the next meeting. Policy update happens in January. I don't know if anything's come through or if we need to check on that.
We checked on it. We checked in with MASC. There's no new policies at this time.
Okay, great. If something should slip in, suggest a half an hour before we meet next time. Other than that, thank you.
Okay. So meeting dates, we have an executive subcommittee meeting, January 13th at 5:30. That's a Zoom meeting, I assume. The regular school committee meeting will be January 13th at 6:30. New business. Mr. Irving.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly, I'd like to just review some of what happened at the MASC conference with the resolutions that took place. And without going through each one of them, there were 10 resolutions. One was on equity, racial equity. One was on gender issues. Both were approved to be sent to school committees and districts. There were several no unfunded mandates, starting with we have expenses with COVID-19, which we've had to absorb with the budget. And we're hoping that, as you know, nationally, they're still debating that in Congress. But hopefully we're saying that MASC is backing us as far as any updates that and money coming back under the unfunded mandate at this point. And there are several others in this particular policy resolution committee. Also in high stakes testing, the superintendent alluded to this early on as far as Mcas, and part of the resolution is that MASC rejects the call for students of 2022 who missed the 10th grade Mcas from testing it to be held harmless from that. So I'm sure there's going to be more information coming down from DESE on that. But there's a lot of pressure from, I assume, superintendents and school committee statewide offices to work on either legislation or work on DESE to be fair to our students of the Commonwealth. And I think basically that's it. Everything was approved except for one. That resolution was lowering the voting age for municipal elections. That was introduced by the MASC Board of Directors. But many of the superintendent delegates felt that 16 was a little bit too young. It did note that it was just for municipal elections, but the idea was in the spirit of civics and teaching the kids about civic responsibility to lower the age from 18 down to 16 would be beneficial to our students. It was rejected by the delegation. That's basically the report for this year, but there were 10 and they kind of went through about 3 or 4 different major areas. So I don't know if you have any questions on any of the items I've mentioned or not.
Any questions for Mr. Irving? No? Okay, thanks,
you.
David.
Thank you, David.
Executive session. There is no executive session posted. We have a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Got to do a roll call. Do we have to do a roll call for that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Early,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Mr. LaBella,
Yes, and everybody have a good holiday.
Mr. Irving,
Dr.
Testaverde,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. James,
Yes.
Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mrs. True,
Yes. Have a very safe holiday, everybody.
Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes.
All right.